Okay, so this time I'm going to share the derivation of the sum and product of roots of a quadratic equation. We recall that the standard form of quadratic equation is given by x squared or ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are elements of real numbers, and that a is not equal to 0. Okay? And the quadratic formula, which is derived in our previous video, is x is equal to negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, in which our quadratic formula gives us two possible roots, x1 and x2, or x1 is the same as r1 and x2 is also the same as r2. So our x1 and x2 are the separation of the plus and minus signs operations here in our quadratic formula. So that in our x1 or r1, we have negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And our x sub 2 or r2 is equal to negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so with these two distinct roots of a given quadratic equation, we can get the sum of the roots, or we can derive the sum of two roots. Okay, so we have r1 plus r2. So with this, we substitute our r1, which is negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a plus the root 2, which is negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so again, our values of r1 or formulas for r1 and r2 are in fractions. And these are two similar fractions. So we follow the rule in adding similar fractions, and that is we copy the denominator, okay, and we add only the numerator. So we have negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac plus negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, this is the numerator of the first root, and this is the numerator of the second root. So simplifying further, we have negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Okay, we have positive times negative b is negative b. Positive times negative the square root of b squared minus 4ac is negative the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So we divide it by 2a, and r1 plus r2 is equal to, so negative b plus negative b is negative 2b. And this is similar to this because they have the same index and they have the same radicand, but they have opposite signs. So we can cancel. So what is left is negative 2b over 2a. So therefore, the sum of two roots based from our quadratic formula, okay, is given by b, negative b over a. Since we can cancel this out, so what is left is negative b over a, or we have the negative of the sum of R1 and R2. So that is our sum of the roots of quadratic equation. Whereas in our product of roots, we have R1 times R2. We multiply the first root by the second root. Okay? So R1 times R2. R1 times R2 is equal to negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a times negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is your R1 and this is your R2, the first root and the second root. Okay, so we continue. R1 times R2 is equal to, okay, so we recall the rule in multiplying fractions. It says there, in multiplying fractions, be it similar or dissimilar fractions, we just multiply the numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. Okay, so in this case, we have negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac times negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over, okay, 2a times 2a is 4a squared. Now, we are ready to simplify further. So we have, notice that the operations here are opposite. They are inverse of the other. And we have the same first term here in the first factor and the same first term in the second factor. The same second term in our first factor, the same second term in our second factor, but they have opposite operations or signs. So it's obvious that these are factors of difference of two squares. So that in the difference of two squares, we must obtain two squares, two quantities that are being squared separated by minus sign. So here we have negative b times negative b is positive b squared. So here positive times negative is negative, and the square root of b squared minus 4ac, which is quantity raised to the second power, all over 4a squared. Okay, so again, we keep on simplifying until we get the final answer. So here we have b squared. So we can cancel this exponent with the index of this term because it is 2. Okay, and we only consider the radicand, which is b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. And we have r1 times r2 now will be b squared. Negative b times b squared is negative b squared or minus b squared. And negative times negative 4ac is positive 4ac. Okay? All over 4a squared. So b squared minus b squared is 0. So we can cancel that. And then what is left is 4ac over 4a squared. And we can cancel also 4 a by a. And what is left here is a. And the final answer for the product of two roots is c over a. Okay? So the shortcut in determining the shortcut formula in determining the product of two roots would be c over a. So what is the significance of knowing the product and sum of roots of quadratic equation? These are very important in determining the possible quadratic equation given the roots, or given the roots, or given the equation, we can determine the sum and product of its root. Okay, so next would be examples on how to make use of these formulas so that we can utilize this formula in the sum and product of roots in a given quadratic equation. Okay, so in our next video, the discussion of the examples of this sum and product of roots will be discussed. Thank you.